All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack a really powerful, kind of counterintuitive idea from Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. And it's this concept that just flips everything we think we know about money on its head. What if I told you that true wealth is the stuff you can't see at all?
And this quote from the book just nails it perfectly. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. I mean, it sounds so obvious when you say it out loud, right? But it goes against basically everything we see in the world around us.
And that leads us straight into what Housel calls the great illusion of wealth. It's this story about the fancy sports car, and a surprising truth that kind of exposes this trap that so many of us fall into.
So, let me just ask you this, and be really honest with yourself for a second. When you see someone roll by in a $100,000 car, what does that actually tell you about how wealthy they are? What's your immediate gut reaction?
Well, the only thing you know for sure is that they now have $100,000 less than they did a moment before they bought it. Or, maybe they have $100,000 more debt. That is it. That's the one and only piece of financial data you have.
And look, this isn't just some theory. Housel tells this great little story from back when he was a valet in LA. There was this guy Roger, who always drove this super fancy Porsche. Naturally, everyone just assumed, wow, that guy's a huge success. But then, one day, Roger pulls up in a beat-up old Honda. And the Porsche? Yeah, it got repossessed. The whole image of wealth was just, poof, gone.
And that right there is the core of the problem, isn't it? We judge other people's wealth by what we see. The cars, the houses, the vacation photos, because we can't see their bank accounts. We can't see their brokerage statements. So we're left with this huge blind spot, and we mistake the trappings of wealth for the real thing.
So, this brings us to a much more powerful and, honestly, a much more useful way of thinking about all this. It's time we really separate the idea of being rich from the idea of being wealthy. They are not the same thing.
And here's the difference in a nutshell. Being rich, that's visible. That's about your current income, it's what you spend. But being wealthy, that's hidden. It's the money you haven't spent. It's not about buying stuff. It's about having flexibility, about having options in your life.
This next quote just perfectly captures that mental trap. The book says, when most people say they want to be a millionaire, what they might actually mean is, I'd like to spend the $1 million. But think about it, that is the literal opposite of being a millionaire. It's confusing the performance of wealth with the quiet reality of it.
Okay, so if being wealthy is so great, it's about freedom, it's about options, why is it so darn hard to learn how to do it? Why do so many people just chase being rich instead? Well, that brings us to what we can call the invisibility problem.
So let's get super clear on this definition. Wealth is simply the financial assets that have not yet been turned into the stuff you see. It's the fancy car that wasn't bought. It's the diamond necklace that was passed over. It's the money that's still there, working for you, totally unseen.
Now here's the fundamental challenge. As human beings, we are wired to learn by imitation. It's in our DNA. We see, we copy, it's how we learn to do, well, almost everything important in our lives.
But here's the giant catch. When it comes to building wealth, the most important skill you can have is restraint, not spending. And by its very nature, restraint is invisible. You can't see a purchase that someone didn't make. This makes finding truly wealthy role models almost impossible.
So just think about it for a second. Who are our role models? Is it the person with a high income who spends it all lavishly? Yeah, we see that lifestyle everywhere. It's impossible to miss. Or is it someone like Ronald Reed, this janitor who quietly, secretly saved millions, and we only heard his story after he passed away? The loud spenders are easy to copy. The quiet savers are invisible.
Okay, so let's bring this all back home. Let's make it real for you and me, because this isn't just some interesting theory. This gets to the very core of what you really want from your money and your life.
It honestly all boils down to this one simple question. And you got to ask yourself this. Do you want to look rich, or do you want to be wealthy? Because your answer to that single question is going to shape every single financial decision you make from this day forward.
Because at the end of the day, true wealth has never been about having more stuff. It's about having more options. It's about having the freedom to wake up one morning and say, you know what? I can do whatever I want today. Now that is the real prize. So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. What is one thing, just one, that you could choose not to buy today that would get you just one step closer to the real freedom you want tomorrow? Because that decision, the one that nobody else sees, that's where true wealth begins.